I'm Brian. I'm going to be doing a video on a walkthrough pre-trip and why it's important. It's important because it's a DOT standard to do one every day. Also prevents unneeded breakdown pays sometimes, stuff that can be avoided being figured out before you leave the yard. So let's start the pre-trip. I check all my fluids under the hood. You want to make sure your oil is full. And I check over anything, just make sure that obviously there's no like broken parts, everything looks functional. I always do a double check, make sure there's no like fresh leaks, especially under the truck. Sometimes you can, if it's been parked for a while, you'll see abnormal wet spots or leaks. You want to see where that's coming from. Just check the belts, make sure the belts are in good condition, not all frayed and damaged. And on this side of the motor here, when I walk over, I just check the coolant level, make sure that there's coolant in it. Well, again, making sure the shocks are all good, leaf springs are good, that there's no damage. Double check, make sure you got no oil inside your tire or your rim. Again, it's just doing the overview, making sure everything looks normal, nothing's abnormal. I check all my lights in the truck. Putting that done, come over this way. You guys want to check your fuel. Make sure you got fuel started today. I always check, just make sure that your airlines aren't dragging on anything. Sometimes if the springs break on back there, your airlines can be on the frame. Can't have that. Want to make sure that you don't hear any air leaking out of your glad hands. You need to adjust them or change the gaskets on them. Your corner lights, marker light. I always want to dump your tires. Again, I'm just looking at shocks, leaf springs, making sure nothing's abnormal, looks damaged. Make sure you got your mud flaps on. Make sure you got proper reflector tapes on that. From here I can see my lights on my tractor. Next, when I come on this side, it's always good to remember on pneumatic trailers is when you're starting your day, make sure that your hopper valves are all closed. It's especially important if you pick up a trailer that's been dropped in the yard because it could have been washed or it could have been a maintenance issue, and sometimes the valves will be left open. And if you forget about closing them and you go get loaded, you're gonna leave product behind you. Next thing I'll come to is the auto hatch. You want to make sure your auto hatch is sealed. You want it in the green. You pull your knob. We just want to make sure that it's opening and closing before we start our day. And close it. Just want to make sure that it shuts and seals. Then next, again, I'm just going to check my lights. Side indicator lights are working. Again, just as you're doing your walkthrough, you just want to make sure that nothing's abnormal, nothing looks broken, damaged. There's no cracks spraying the frames. Check the tires. Again, make sure that there's no oil or anything on the outside of them. Checking suspension, checking leaf springs. You can look at the top indicator, the top lights. The indicator lights are working, and the running lights. You want to make sure your license plate light is working. Another thing that's always good to do, especially with this style of light, is these are prone to loosening up, especially driving down the road empty, or if a driver accidentally backs into something and doesn't notice it. These welds can break, and it's very common that if they are loose or broken, they will fall off while you're driving. So I always get in a habit of, when I'm checking my lights, just pull on them, make sure they're snug. You got your hose straps for the tray. You want to make sure that they're strapped, your hoses are strapped in. You want to make sure that these aren't damaged or missing. If they are, get them replaced. I always double check on my hoses too before you start your day. Make sure they got gaskets. Make sure that the ears on these hoses aren't broke. Moving down, you just want to make sure you got your reflector tapes. Your lights working, indicator lights, side lights working. Again, just walking along, making sure I don't see anything that's damaged. Checking my airbags, my shocks. Again, I'll check my tires on this side. Don't see any excessive oil on the outside. My corner light working. I also double check and make sure that my hot hose has both working ears and the gaskets. So now I come around this side, I'm gonna check my fluid. There's a sight indicator right there. Just want to make sure that's full of fluid. Okay, oil, I always just give the PTO shaft just a little shake. If there's access play in the joints, something you want to get replaced because they will kind of blow apart on you while you're running your blower. I check the blower and the PTO shaft. I just move down to this side. Got my indicator light, which is working. Okay, after I did that, I want to check my blower before I leave the yard. I gotta start my truck for that. After I'm done with my pre-trip inspection, you want to go to compose. Then you want to go macro 1, which is a work order. Then you're gonna have your date. Then you need to put your driver ID number in. Then truck and tractor. And then this here, it just explains the different things that you looked at. If you have any issues with them, you should put a Y next to it, letting you know that it needs to be serviced. We had no defects that need to be serviced on here. So it says vehicle condition satisfactory. I'm gonna put a Y there for yes. If there was any defects that I marked, I would put them down in here for the shop to see. Then I'm gonna send it. And then we want to do that at the start of every shift. You want to send one of those out.